Y'all listen, when it comes to Claressa, I'm starting to get a little soft spot for her. I really am. I really feel sorry for her. The more
She previously stated that she had taken another woman's husband, and for a while she appeared fully committed to that narrative, projecting confidence through posts, interviews, and live streams where she repeatedly referred to Papoose as my man, as if reinforcing that the situation was already settled in her favor. However, the public storyline later shifted unexpectedly, and the tone around their relationship changed significantly. Instead of celebration, speculation began to dominate online discussions, with circulating claims suggesting that Papoose may have distanced himself from Claressa and possibly reconnected with Remy Ma behind the scenes. And if that turns out to be true, then the situation goes far beyond simple online gossip and starts to look like a very public breakdown unfolding in real time. When it comes to Claressa Shields, it's not easy to say, but the way everything played out does create a sense of how quickly things can spiral. At first, she came across as confident and untouchable, openly showcasing the relationship online and presenting it like a secured future, while the internet watched it all unfold almost like a reality series. Throughout all of this, Remy Ma remained largely silent, and that silence itself became a major part of the narrative, leaving room for speculation and shifting perceptions as the story developed. While Claressa was actively posting and confidently defending the relationship online, Remy Ma stayed composed, focused on her family, continued wearing her wedding ring, and avoided giving any dramatic public response. Even as rumors spread widely, she did not seem interested in chasing attention, and over time, that contrast became increasingly clear. Later, claims linked to Tasha K surfaced alleging that Papoose packed his belongings, returned to New York, and reunited with Remy Ma. What made the situation more striking was how it was described online, with suggestions that there was no closure, no explanation, and no public goodbye, just silence.
apparently Claressa spent Christmas alone in the Louis Vuitton store, racking up about $30,000 in bills.
Calls reportedly went unanswered, messages allegedly remained unread, and suddenly the woman who once appeared confident and in control began to look more unsettled and publicly exposed. That shift is what really pulled the internet's attention in. At that point, the situation no longer felt like a typical celebrity relationship story, but more like a carefully built image starting to fall apart in real time. As people revisited the timeline, more questions emerged about what the relationship truly was from the start. Whether Claressa was ever the central figure in it, or whether she had stepped into something that was never fully resolved between Papoose and Remy Ma. As the rumors spread further, the overall tone online shifted, and what once looked bold and assured began to feel increasingly uncomfortable and uncertain. Claressa's social media presence then appeared to shift, with posts becoming more intense, emotional, and defensive, and instead of projecting confidence, some viewers felt she was increasingly trying to maintain control over the narrative. At the same time, another wave of discussion began building online as users started drawing direct comparisons between Claressa and Remy Ma. What initially seemed like minor observations, similar outfits, jewelry, hairstyles, and posing styles, gradually escalated into more critical commentary. Side-by-side images circulated widely, and over time the conversation evolved into claims that Claressa was not just influenced by Remy Ma's style, but was deliberately imitating her. Some users even went as far as calling it fixation or obsession, and once that narrative took hold, it became difficult to ignore across social media. Every new post, caption, and public appearance began getting analyzed and dissected online, with people pointing out perceived similarities in lifestyle, presentation, and social media behavior. What might have once been dismissed as coincidence gradually turned into a broader public storyline about influence and comparison. Later, claims also began circulating online that Claressa had allegedly tattooed Papoose's name, and that rumors significantly intensified the criticism and backlash surrounding the entire situation.
So I felt sorry for Claressa when she was in there blowing a bag, $30,000, and then she had to take the bag to Papoose.
Instead of being viewed as a straightforward romance, many people began to see the situation as emotional overinvestment in a man who was still legally and publicly tied to someone else, which quickly shifted public perception. What once came across as confidence started to feel more strained, and what initially looked exciting began to appear unstable. Meanwhile, Remy Ma continued taking the opposite approach of what the public expected, remaining quiet, composed, and avoiding any public confrontation or emotional display. Over time, that consistent silence began to stand out even more than all the online noise surrounding the situation. At the same time, More online speculation began spreading about what may have been happening behind the scenes, suggesting that the marriage between Papoose and Remy Ma may never have fully ended in the first place. While Claressa was publicly celebrating the relationship, some people believe the original bond between Papoose and Remy Ma was quietly being rebuilt away from the spotlight. As that narrative gained traction, a new question started circulating across social media, reshaping the conversation even further: whether Claressa was truly the chosen partner, or whether she had simply been caught in a situation she didn't fully control or understand. According to online claims, Papoose may not have been as emotionally invested as he appeared in public, with some allegations suggesting a pattern of moving between relationships while maintaining whatever image suited each situation at the time. There were also rumors circulating that some of the luxury gifts and highly curated lifestyle moments shared online may not have come directly from him, but were at least partially self-supported in order to sustain a certain public perception. As a result, the relationship that once looked aspirational to many people began to be viewed differently, shifting from the image of a happy romance to something more complex involving perception, ego, and public scrutiny. At the same time, more cracks were said to be forming, with reports that Papoose had become increasingly difficult to reach. Plans allegedly began to fall apart as his appearances with Claressa reportedly became less frequent, while online rumors about him reconnecting with Remy Ma continued to gain momentum. Holidays, in particular, became a major point of discussion, with Claressa often appearing alone while claims circulated that Papoose was spending time back with his wife and family. As a result, many began to believe the situation may have been unraveling long before it became obvious to the public. By the time the narrative fully shifted, the tone around Claressa had noticeably changed, with the confidence she once projected being replaced, at least in public perception, by a more defensive and emotionally drained image. Even as she continued sharing posts about the relationship, growing sections of the audience had already started to assume that a private reconciliation between Papoose and Remy Ma had taken place behind the scenes. That's what made the situation feel so harsh to many observers. According to circulating reports, while Claressa may have still believed a shared future was being built, Papoose had already stepped back toward his previous life without any clear public explanation. There was no official statement or dramatic conclusion, just distance and silence. Online audiences quickly picked up on the changes, with some claiming that Claressa may have learned about the shift at the same time as everyone else, through rumors, social media reactions, and his gradual disappearance from her daily presence. Even as she continued to project stability publicly, the underlying reality appeared to be changing away from view. Throughout it all, Remy Ma remained largely silent, saying very little while the situation unfolded in the public eye. That became one of the biggest turning points in how the story was perceived. The person who was most vocal in the situation gradually seemed to lose control of the narrative, while the quieter figure appeared to regain stability without making public declarations or engaging in open conflict. Over time, what initially looked like a straightforward relationship dynamic started to resemble something more complex, shaped by perception, ego, and public scrutiny. From that lens, it wasn't just about a relationship ending or shifting. It was also about the collapse of a publicly defended narrative. What once looked like confidence and certainty began to be reinterpreted as something more fragile, with earlier posts and public displays now viewed through a very different context, shaped by what followed.